The Speaker of the House has shut down the Parliament. That's right. No motions, no debate will move forward until the SDTC documents are handed over to the RCMP. Now, what I find surprising most of all this morning is the lack of coverage in the mainstream media of this story. It's unbelievable. Nobody is talking about this. This happened yesterday, and yet you go to these websites, CBC, nothing on there. Global News, nothing. CTV News, nothing, absolutely nothing. Who's talking about it? Well, the independent media is talking about this, of course. This is an article from True North saying Trudeau government defies Parliament, refuses to surrender SDTC documents, finds Speaker. Now, of course, the SDTC documents, this has to do with the Green Slush Fund debacle, and we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars potentially have been embezzled, given away to parliamentarians, to MPs. This could lead to criminal charges. We're talking perp walks in the House of Parliament if the RCMP so sees fit. And no wonder the mainstream media is staying so largely quiet about this issue. Now, this is what's happening. House of Commons Speaker Greg Fergus ruled that Trudeau's government defied the authority of Parliament by refusing to hand over documents pertaining to Sustainable Development Technology Canada and its gross misconduct. We're talking gross misconduct. If you think the Arrive Can scam was really bad, which it really was, that was in tens of millions of dollars. We're talking about billions of dollars and potentially hundreds of millions of dollars being embezzled by different actors within the government. And yes, people want to see perp walks in this situation. In a motion put forward by the Conservative Party and supported by the NDP and Bloc Québécois. So we're talking nonpartisan. We're talking across the board, except the Liberals, of course. Why? Because likely a lot of them are implicated in this. The House demands the government hand over all files, communications, and financial records pertaining to the SDTC scandal to Parliament's law clerk. The clerk is then to submit the documents to the RCMP to investigate the matter. This is a criminal situation. This isn't something that should just be handed over to the ethics commissioner, because we know how great that works, because Trudeau has been found guilty by the ethics commissioner several times. What's the penalty to it? Nothing. There is no penalty to that. This needs to go to the RCMP. Canadians want to see perp walks for our tax dollars being embezzled and just handed out willy-nilly to a bunch of bureaucrats and a bunch of members of parliament that are just looking to line their own pockets, as if they're not lining their own pockets with their parliamentary salaries and really doing very little for the country already. But this is the case. This is where we're at. It's insane what's happening here. Now, you're going to hear stories of this is unprecedented, this is unusual. Well, yeah, it is unusual to see this level of corruption in our government. The leader of the government in the House, Karina Gould, argued that the motion ordering the government to indirectly hand the SDTC documents to the RCMP was unusual, it was novel and unprecedented, that the motion violates charter rights while interfering in RCMP investigations. How is it interfering? It's offering over more information, not the redacted information that we're used to from the Liberal government, where they try to use parliamentary privilege, but there is parliamentary privilege that's been violated in this case, and this would be for the Conservatives, the NDP and the Bloc Québécois, that have ordered and then passed a motion to hand this stuff over to the Parliament or to the RCMP. This is what's happening. However, Fergus rejected these claims, pointed that the Conservative House leader Andrew Scheer's argument that the RCMP could simply reject the documents themselves if they so pleased. That's not without precedent, and we could see this just going to the RCMP and being turned over in that case. But nonetheless, if you were looking forward to seeing the passive-aggressive no answers to questions, I mean, they don't call it question period for no reason. They don't call it answer period. It's just a bunch of rhetorical questions. that are passed back and forth so that they can have their social media posts. But nonetheless, this is Andrew Scheer talking about the situation here.
After 9 years, Justin Trudeau has shown that he's not worth the cost or the corruption. The Speaker has just recently ruled that all House business, all government business must be put aside while members of Parliament consider Liberal corruption. First, we had the case of the Green Slush Fund, the SDTC fund, where the Auditor General found over $330 million funneled to Liberal insiders' own businesses. She found massive conflicts of interest. Basically, these Liberal appointed board members who made the decision as to which companies got money, taxpayers' money, from this fund, were funneling that money to their own businesses or to the businesses of their close friends. So the Auditor General has blown the whistle on that, yet the government refuses to hand over the documents to the RCMP. The House of Commons passed a production order demanding that all documents, all information that the Auditor General uncovered, plus any documents that might exist in any government department related to this scandal, be handed over to the RCMP. The government is refusing, and as a result, the House will be seized with this corruption matter until they hand over the documents. And then we have the case of the other Randy, where a senior Trudeau minister is alleged to have been sitting around the cabinet table while also involved in his own business's affairs. His business partner was summoned before a committee and refused to disclose all the information, refused to name who the other Randy is, refused to hand over all the documents and answer the questions that were put to him. And as a result, the House is seized with that motion as well. So what we're saying today is that the government will not be able to, the House will be staying on these corruption matters until the Liberals hand over all the documents to the RCMP. While Canadians are suffering with the cost of living crisis that Justin Trudeau caused with his runaway inflation, while millions of Canadians are visiting a food bank for the first time and young Canadians are giving up on the dream of home ownership as housing costs have doubled under the NDP Liberal government, it's clear once again that the Liberals will always stop and enrich their friends while they impoverish Canadians.
Like what's this going to look like, and how long is this going to go on?
So the Speaker has ruled that the parliamentary that Parliament's rules were broken in this Liberal cover-up. The House of Commons demanded these documents be sent to the RCMP so that the RCMP can determine whether or not there are criminal charges warranted because of this corruption. The government refused to comply with this long-standing power that Parliament has to hold governments to account. And by doing so, the Speaker has now ruled that all government business must be put aside until the House deals with this corruption motion. It's really up to the government to determine how long that will take, but it's clear that they're willing to go to extreme lengths to cover up their corruption, that they're willing to put the business of Parliament off to the side just to protect Liberal insiders. Liberal-friendly appointees to this board funneled money to their own companies. That's taxpayers' money. And while Canadians are paying higher carbon taxes, higher prices at the grocery store, higher mortgage costs with high interest rates, Liberal insiders stopped and enriched themselves. It's never been so good to be a Liberal insider. It's never been so tough to be a hardworking Canadian.
Absolutely. This is insane. This is to see this. Now, unprecedented. Now, I don't think that this is unprecedented. Later in the article from True North, they talk about the Liberals have stated their long opposition to Fergus's ruling, arguing that the precedent the ruling sets will have disastrous consequences for the future. Yeah, for the Liberal Party. This would be disastrous for the Liberal Party. The Trudeau government is no stranger to conflict with the House Speaker. In 2021, the Trudeau government threatened to take Speaker Anthony Rota to court. With the guy, they threw under the bus, the whole Nazi in Parliament thing. Yeah, that guy. They threatened to take him to court in an attempt to prevent the release of documents relating to the National Microbiology Laboratory, another scandal. The issue was dropped after Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called for an election that his party eventually won. Well, it doesn't look like he can do that this time. No. A majority of all Canadians now disapprove of Justin Trudeau, except, of course, hardcore liberals, which are very few and far between anymore. It wasn't too long ago that the NDP and Green voters still like Trudeau. That's now over. It's completely over. That's right. If you look at the latest polling just from just yesterday, it looks like the Conservative Party is set to win a landslide election in the next election. We'll see moving forward. I mean, the Liberal Party not faring too well. They're about to lose 100 seats. That's unbelievable. This is the territory that we're entering. But that's no surprise looking at where Canada has been going. The economy in Canada is disastrous. The corruption in Canada is disastrous, and the Liberal Party has nothing to run on. Their track record is absolutely the worst. They're making promises about doing things in the future after another election, things that they could have done in the past 9 years. Anyway, I'll leave this one with you guys. Do you think that Parliament's going to be back anyway? Why is the mainstream media not covering this story? It sounds like probably the biggest story in Ottawa at the moment right now, and silence from the mainstream media. Let's see where this goes and what happens today. Only time will tell. Anyway, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.